Across deserts and seas, from mountains carved by kings to caves painted by the first dreamers, humanity has always tried to defy time. We built wonders to be remembered and buried secrets to be forgotten. But each time the earth is disturbed, something returns, a face, a sword, a warning from the past. Now, archaeologists have uncovered a tomb sealed with a curse, a sword too perfect to be real, and an entire civilization reborn through light and code. They've found echoes of gods in the desert, a wonder reduced to dust, and a painted face staring back across 45,000 years. 7 riddles, 7 enigmas. The search for answers goes deeper still. This is Riddle Me This Mysteries. When the limestone door gave way, the air that slipped out was older than memory. For 2,000 years, nothing had stirred here. No voice, no light, not even a breath. The archaeologists paused, their lamps trembling against the dust-soft walls, and color came alive again. Cobalt blues, ochres, and the steady gaze of painted gods watching from every surface. They were deep inside the necropolis of Tuna el-Gebel, west of ancient Hermopolis Magna, a place where the priests of Thoth and Khonsu buried their own in chambers cut straight from the cliff. This newly found tomb dated to Egypt's twilight centuries, the late New Kingdom shading into the Ptolemaic age. Its plastered walls still carried hymns to the gods. A long book of the dead papyrus lay folded near a sealed limestone sarcophagus, its ink the color of dried lotus. Amulets shaped like eyes and scarabs glittered faintly beneath layers of dust. On one wall, a line of hieroglyphs curved around the image of Osiris. May the gods guard the pure and judge the defiler. It was not a curse but a principle, the ancient law of Maat, the balance between order and chaos. To disturb a tomb was to cross that boundary, not invoke punishment but invite reflection. The words were meant for eternity, and now eternity had answered. The man, or perhaps the woman, laid to rest here remains unnamed. Where the cartouche should have been, the plaster had crumbled, leaving a pale scar. Only the art preserved identity. A figure in white linen, arms raised to the moon god Khonsu, surrounded by offerings. In that silence, the tomb felt less like a warning than a confession. Even those who guarded knowledge feared being forgotten. Outside, the sun burned over the limestone plain, but down here the colors still held their breath. Every brushstroke, every glyph seemed to insist on survival. What we call discovery might simply be memory resurfacing. For while these walls speak of judgment and stillness, elsewhere another artifact waits, a weapon that gleams with a perfection time itself could not dull. It began with a flash of metal in the soil, a color that shouldn't exist after 3,000 years. In June 2023, near the Bavarian town of Nördlingen, archaeologists uncovered a grave from the end of the 14th century BCE, when the Urnfield culture was reshaping Central Europe. 3 skeletons lay together, a man, a woman, and a child, their bones pale against the earth. Beside them rested a sword so radiant, the team mistook it for modern bronze, but its form betrayed the truth, an octagonal hilt weapon cast in a single flawless pour, belonging to a world before iron, before written history in this land. The hilt and blade were fused using overlay casting, a feat of balance and heat control few smiths today could replicate. The alloy's high tin content gave it a green-gold sheen, and its edge still caught the light like water. Under magnification, tiny hammer strikes reveal how its maker hardened the blade, a lost technique of the Bronze Age. The sword bears no scars of battle, no dulling from use, as though its maker had forged perfection only to bury it. Metallurgists at the Bavarian State Archaeological Collection study the copper-tin ratios, tracing the chemistry of endurance. Its preservation may owe as much to nature as to craft. Neutral low-acid soil and a sealed microclimate slowed corrosion to almost nothing. Whatever the cause, the result defies time itself, a surface still gleaming after 3 millennia. In its day, bronze was more than metal. It was prestige, mastery, the measure of those who shaped rather than merely survived their world. The sword's balance, its flawless symmetry, its refusal to decay, all speak of a civilization that understood how to make matter last longer than memory. We do not know the sword's owner. The man beside it might have held it once, or it may have been placed there to honor all 3, a family perhaps, or a lineage. Whatever the truth, their names are gone, yet the blade endures, a signature without a scribe. And while one sword kept its maker's hand alive, another mystery waits, not a single artifact this time, but an entire vanished people returning to the light. For centuries, the Etruscans spoke only through silence, their language half deciphered, their gods unnamed, their cities erased beneath Roman stone. But in northern Lazio, that silence has begun to move again, not through excavation, but through light. In 2025, archaeologists and digital heritage researchers from the University of Gothenburg and the Swedish Institute in Rome revealed a new kind of discovery. Nearly 280 Etruscan chamber tombs in the Viterbo province, each scanned, modeled and reborn inside a digital necropolis. They call it preservation. To the untrained eye, it feels like resurrection. The tombs, carved 2.5 millennia ago into volcanic tufa, were never meant for eternity. Humidity, fungi and human breath had begun to erase the colors, the dances, the chariots, the banquets that once promised joy beyond death. So the team turned to LiDAR, photogrammetry and multispectral imaging, capturing every pigment and crack in laser-fine detail. Inside their servers now lives a cemetery made of photons instead of dust, doorframes, benches and painted feasts measured to the millimeter. Step into the virtual reconstruction and the walls breathe again, reds and ochres glowing as they did 25 centuries ago. The project's director, Jonathan Westin, said it best: "We are never the first to visit these places, yet it sometimes feels as if time has stood still. Through headsets and screens, scholars can walk among the dead without disturbing them. Every chamber becomes both museum and memorial." The Etruscans shaped early Rome and then disappeared into it. Their language, the bridge between Greek script and Latin power, survives only in fragments. But their tombs tell what words cannot, that they saw the afterlife not as punishment but continuation, banquets, music and laughter carrying on beneath the earth. Now, through algorithms and light, that world is speaking again. No brush scrapes the walls, no shovel touches the soil. Instead, lasers trace the memory of a vanished people, resurrecting their homes for the dead in immaculate silence. For the first time, archaeology no longer means unearthing, but remembering. In the digital glow of these virtual tombs, the Etruscans are no longer ghosts. They are patterns of light, perfectly preserved, waiting to be seen. In Lazio, the dead rise in data, but farther east, a monument built for immortality fell to dust. She would build it so that a man might never die. Stone upon stone, dream upon dream, each block laid to defy the silence that comes for kings. When Mausoleum, satrap of Caria, died in 353 BCE, his wife and sister Artemisia II vowed to give him a tomb unlike any the world had ever seen. In the harbour city of Halicarnassus, now Bodrum, marble would rise from the earth like memory made solid. Under the direction of architects Satyros and Pythias of Priene, and the chisels of Greece's greatest sculptors, Scopas, Bryaxis, Leochares and Timotheus, the work began. It was neither Greek temple nor Persian palace, but something in between. A structure of perfect balance, a fusion of worlds. A ring of 36 ionic columns surrounded its heart. Above them, a stepped pyramid climbed skyward, crowned by a marble chariot carrying Mausolus and Artemisia side by side, racing forever toward eternity. It rose some 45 meters high, a mountain of white stone gleaming across the Aegean, and every surface told a story. Friezes of Amazons and centaurs fought across the walls, their carved muscles catching the dawn. When sunlight struck the upper tiers, the entire monument blazed like captured fire. Artemisia's grief had taken form in geometry and light. Yet even this wonder had roots. Recent research links its design to the tomb of Hecatomnus, Mausolus's father, in nearby Milos, a prototype of astonishing similarity. Its reliefs echo the same themes, its proportions the same mathematical grace. Immortality, it seems, was not born from mourning but from dynasty. For 17 centuries the mausoleum endured, through conquest, empire, and the slow tremor of time, until the earth beneath it shifted. Earthquakes in the Middle Ages broke its colonnades, toppled its chariot, and buried its gods of marble beneath their own dust. Later, the Knights of St. John stripped its stones to fortify the walls of Bodrum Castle, turning the dream of immortality into masonry for war. What remained of the wonder now lies divided. Fragments in Turkish sunlight, others in the British Museum, where its Amazon warriors still stand frozen in battle. Today, archaeologists trace its footprint through laser scans and ground-penetrating radar, mapping what the centuries left behind. Each fragment, each carved stone, reassembles a memory of grandeur, a digital echo of the world's first mausoleum. For even in ruin, the monument still commands reverence, a structure so beautiful its very name became the word for all tombs that followed. But there is irony in its fate. A temple built to resist oblivion became a lesson in surrender. Its brilliance inspired countless monuments, yet none could save it, not even the love that built it. In Halicarnassus, immortality was not imagined, it was constructed, and eventually it became the lesson instead of the legacy. And while one monument built for eternity fell to dust, another city of the dead waited in silence, carved not from marble but from desert stone. In the northwestern deserts of Arabia, the wind moves like an ancient language. It carries no words, only echoes, the faint breath of a city carved from silence itself. This is Madâin Sâlih, once called Hegra, the southern capital of the Nabataean kingdom, the same people who carved Petra from rose-red cliffs. But here the stone is gold, the air heavier, and the silence complete. 2,000 years ago, when the caravans of incense and spice passed through Arabia's heart, Hegra was their resting place, a city of the living built beside a city of the dead. The Nabataeans carved their tombs directly into the cliffs, cutting facades so tall they swallowed the sun. 111 monumental tombs still stand, some reaching 20 meters high, their doorframes crowned with stepped towers and winged ornaments that fuse Greek elegance with desert austerity. Each tomb belonged to a family, a merchant or a priest, their names still chiseled in Nabataean script. The letters are angular, half Aramaic, half forgotten, and many of the inscriptions end not in blessing but in warning. Let no one open what the gods have sealed. Yet amid this vast necropolis, one monument breaks the pattern. It stands apart from the others, solitary and luminous against the rock face. Qasr al-Farid, the lonely castle. Carved directly into an isolated pillar of sandstone, it was meant to be a masterpiece, but something halted its creation. The lower carvings remain sharp and perfect, while the upper tiers fade into raw stone, as if the mason had laid down his chisel mid-breath and never returned. Centuries passed, and the desert guarded his silence. Only now, under the glare of modern light, do his unfinished lines speak again. Today, the Royal Commission for Alula and UNESCO work to preserve what the wind once promised to erase. Archaeologists map every facade with 3D scanning, drone photogrammetry, and micro-erosion analysis. They find tool marks still etched in the rock, strokes of chisels last lifted 2 millennia ago. Every shadow, every fracture becomes data, so the stone can be remembered even when the desert forgets. Inside, the tombs are bare, their frescoes gone, their urns removed, yet the air itself feels inhabited. For the Nabataeans, death was not absence but continuity. These chambers were homes for eternity, furnished with silence instead of stone benches, prayers instead of walls. No earthquake destroyed them, no conquest burned them. The people simply left and the desert stayed. Hegra endures, not as ruin but as reflection. Its facades glow at sunset like embers that never burn out, their carved stairways leading nowhere but upward. It is a city that outlived its builders not by strength but by stillness, a place where the dead no longer whisper, because the stone already does. And while these tombs were meant for the afterlife of a kingdom, somewhere far away, another face was drawn, not to honor the dead, but to remember the living, 45,000 years ago. Before memory had words, someone stepped into the dark. A torch hissed against stone. Its light trembled over the curve of a wall. And there, on a slab of red ochre, a human face began to form. It wasn't a likeness of anyone we know. It was something greater, a mind trying to remember itself. The cave is called Layang Karampuang, hidden within the limestone spires of Sulawesi, Indonesia. For tens of thousands of years, it waited untouched, until researchers from Griffith University and Indonesia's National Research and Innovation Agency uncovered its secret in 2024. Using uranium series dating, they measured the thin crust of calcite that had grown across the pigment. Its age, at least 51,000 years, older than the painted bison of Spain or the horses of Chauvet, older than any known story told by human hands. What it shows is not a symbol or a pattern, but a scene. 3 human-like figures surrounding a wild Sulawesi pig. The figures reach, move, gesture. One even seems to turn its head. They are not simply painted, they are acting. The wall becomes a stage, the figures become a story, and the story becomes the first trace of imagination. They used red ochre, ground from iron-rich earth and mixed with water or fat. Whether by reed, brush, or fingertip, They laid it on with precision. Even through mineral crusts and millennia of dust, the hue still glows, a heartbeat preserved in color. Under microscope light, scientists find particles of hematite and goethite, minerals chosen for endurance. They were thinking not just of art, but of permanence, of being seen. This panel does more than rewrite art history. It reminds us that storytelling began not in Europe's caves, but deep in the islands of Southeast Asia. Long before cities, long before script, humans here already understood how to hold a thought outside the body. And they didn't carve gods or rulers. They drew themselves, living among other living things. Nearby caves, Liang Timpuseng, Liang Bulu Saipong 4, reveal older hand stencils and new scenes still emerging through calcite. Together, they form a gallery spanning 20,000 years of creativity, generations repainting or touching up what their ancestors began. Some lines have been traced twice, as if to keep the story alive, as if to say, we are still here. Archaeologists now use AI-assisted 3D scanning and microspectroscopy to capture every flake of pigment, every breath mark on stone. Through them, the cave becomes both archive and mirror. And when the lights go out, what remains is not silence but presence, the lingering warmth of a human thought. This painting is more than the world's oldest narrative. It is the earliest reflection of consciousness, not the first face ever seen, but the first one remembered. A memory painted into darkness, waiting for us to find it again. And while this ancient artist painted in isolation, another cave half a world away would echo with two civilizations, one prehistoric and one Roman. In the mountains of eastern Spain, where the limestone folds into narrow gorges, lies a chamber that never forgot. They call it Cova de le Donne, the Cave of the Women, a name whispered through centuries of legend. To step inside is to cross the distance between worlds, one lit by firelight and ochre, the other by oil lamps and Latin prayers. The first visitors came nearly 24,000 years ago. They pressed red pigment onto the walls, tracing deer, horses, and their own hands across the pale stone. Some images were blown through hollow reeds, others brushed on with animal fat and powdered hematite. The cave's still air preserved them, shapes that flicker when torchlight moves, as if alive again. They left behind no cities, no graves, only art and silence. Yet even in that silence something lingered, a sense that the cave was listening. Time passed. Ice melted, forests rose, empires came and vanished. Then 200 centuries later, others entered the same darkness. Romans, carrying lamps instead of torches. Deep within, almost 200 meters from daylight, they built a sanctuary. 15 inscriptions in Latin still mark the stone. One bears the face of Emperor Claudius, pressed into a bronze coin left beside a niche. Fragments of terracotta lamps, bronze pins, and small votive bowls lie scattered like offerings the cave chose to keep. They prayed here for water, fertility, perhaps safe childbirth, asking favors of new gods in an ancient place. When archaeologists returned in our own century, the layers began to speak again. Under soot from Roman fires, ultraviolet light revealed older pigments, red deer and spirals hidden beneath black crust. Digital 3D scans traced the overlap of eras, Paleolithic paintings beneath imperial graffiti, prehistory beneath empire. Even the stalagmites had been shaped long before Rome, more than 100 speleofacts, broken or arranged by unseen hands, perhaps to change the cave's voice when it echoed. The scientists called it a palimpsest of sacredness, a text rewritten again and again but never erased. Here the past did not end, it simply changed languages. Where one people painted to remember life, another prayed to preserve it. Both believed the cave would listen, and still it does. Dripping water keeps time, the air carries faint warmth, and the walls breathe stories no one ever meant to forget. 7 riddles, 7 echoes buried in sand, stone, and silence. From those who carved their dreams to those who painted their ghosts, each left a trace for us to find. If one of them stayed with you, let it travel. Like the video, subscribe if you haven't. Share the silence. The story endures, only here on Riddle Me This Mysteries.